people wonder what the difference is between Coke and Pepsi. Pepsi has more artificial sweeteners, making it sweeter than Coke, but also leaving a slight chemical aftertaste. Both Coke and Pepsi have different levels of carbonation. Coca-Cola has a higher carbonation level than Pepsi. Coke is also said to have more of a vanilla flavor, while Pepsi has a slightly citrusy flavor. Coca-Cola was developed in 1886, 13 years before Pepsi. 40 years ago, Pepsi launched the Pepsi Challenge, where they performed blind taste tests on random individuals, exploring whether people preferred Coke or Pepsi. Pepsi won the challenge, but according to social media, Coca-Cola has more fans, with 89.4 million likes on Facebook and 2.93 million followers on Twitter. Pepsi has a much smaller fan base on Facebook, with only 32.79 million likes on Facebook and 2.83 million Twitter followers. Our null hypothesis is exactly 50% of the Worcester Academy upper school population will choose Coke as their preferred drink, and the remaining 50% will choose Pepsi. Our alternative hypothesis is more than 50% of the Worcester Academy upper school population will choose Coke as their preferred drink, and the remaining percentage will choose Pepsi. We chose these to be our hypotheses because the null hypothesis represents the hypothesis that is believed to be true, or expected to be true. We were unsure which drink would be the preferred drink, so we decided to test the hypothesis that people preferred Coke and Pepsi in an equal distribution. We began by creating an online survey. Using the link, we sent it out to the upper school population at Worcester Academy. We had no control over who would choose to answer the survey, so we knew our sample would be random. We concluded that we could only use the first 48 samples in order to satisfy the 10% condition. After receiving our first 48 responses, we used them to conduct both a significance test and a confidence interval in order to decide whether to reject the null hypothesis or fail to reject it. Here we have a table displaying our results. So we found that out of the 48 people, 36 people chose Coke as their preferred drink, and 12 people chose Pepsi as their preferred drink. This is a pie chart which displays our results in a different way than the table. So here you can see that 75% of the sample chose Coke as their preferred drink, and 25% chose Pepsi as their preferred drink. Finally, we created a bar graph which displays the same data just in a different way to look at it visually. We began by creating and sending out a survey to the upper school at Worcester Academy. We asked students to please take 30 seconds to answer the single question, do you prefer Coke or Pepsi? We received many responses, but only used the first 48 responses because we needed to make sure that our results were accounting for less than 10% of the Worcester Academy upper school population. After gathering the data for these results, we saw that our data found that 36 people prefer Coke and only 12 people prefer Pepsi. We decided that next we needed to perform 2 different tests in order to ensure that this data was convincing enough to say that the Worcester Academy upper school population prefers Coke over Pepsi. We first performed a significance test at the alpha equals 0.05 significance level. After calculating the p-value, we compared it to the significance value. The p-value was 0.00266, which is less than 0.05, so since this is true, we reject the null hypothesis. We proved that the null hypothesis, exactly half of the Worcester Academy upper school population prefers Coke and the other half prefers Pepsi, is not true. Next, we performed a confidence test. We decided to perform a test with 90% confidence. The confidence test concluded that we are 90% confident that the interval from 0.6472 to 0.8528 captures the true proportion of students in the Worcester Academy upper school community who prefer Coke to Pepsi. Since both of the results from these tests are consistent, we can say that there is convincing evidence to say that the Worcester Academy upper school population prefers Coke to Pepsi.